Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy that opening, where I opened up a whole bunch of the Society of Lights card lotteries things, just to kind of show you what it's like. Anyway, on today's episode, the deck that I have for you guys today is a Gladiator Beast Neos Fusion deck. We're going to be using Jaden Duel with Neo Space. Now, what this deck is, well, basically it's focused around the Neos Fusion card, right? So we're going to be using Keeper of Dragon Magic at 3, obviously, to grab up our Neos Fusion or our Fusion Tag, which I will explain in a second. We're going to use that by discarding a card to grab up one of them. Then we obviously have Elemental Hero Neos, along with the Gladiator Beasts Bestiari and Laquera. I don't know how to say this one. Laqueri. I don't know. This dude. Dude looks like he has rockets coming out of him. Anyway, so, whoops. So, what does this deck do, and why are we running it? And why do we only have... Sorry, there we go. So this deck, pretty simply, it's focusing on getting out Gazaris as well as a Neos Fusion onto the field pretty quickly. The Gazaris, why do we want this? Well, because it pops 2 cards when it is summoned. When this card is special summoned, you can target up to 2 cards on the field to destroy those targets. At the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, you can return it to the extra deck to special summon 2 Gladiator Beast monsters from the deck, except Gladiator Beast Bestiari. Right? So, what you can do is you shuffle this back into the deck to summon up your Laqueria or something like that, right? If it battles, pretty good, right? Now, all of the Gladiator Beasts are focused on this idea that when they attack, and it's successful, at the end of the battle phase, you can shuffle it back into the deck in order to summon out a different Gladiator Beast, right? So Gazaris shuffles back, you get 2 since you used 2 to special summon it, right? Laqueria, or the red dude, the fire type, shuffles back, summons out your Bestiari. Bestiari shuffles back to summon out your Laqueri. We're going to go with Laqueri. Right? Now, Bestiari, when it is summoned through this effect, targets a spell card on the field and destroys it. Meaning, if they don't have any spell cards on the field and you summon this guy, you will have to destroy one of your own spell cards. So keep that in mind, right? Then, you also, then with Laqueri, what it does is it boosts up to 2100 original attack, right? When it is special summoned that way. So, there's that. Now, Keeper of Dragon Magic. This card is extremely useful, and oftentimes you are going to want to draw into this card pretty early, right? Because what it does is, when it is normal or special summoned, you can discard a card to add a polymerization or a fusion normal spell card from your deck to your hand, right? So you can grab up either your Neos Fusion or your Fusion Tag, right? And you can reveal a fusion monster from your extra deck. Special summon 1 fusion material whose name is specifically listed on that monster from your graveyard in face down defense position. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the Gladiator Beast Gazaris. What it does is it is special summoned by shuffling the above cards you control into the deck, right? Which means, if they're face down, you can shuffle them in to the deck, very similar to like how Ritual Beasts work. Instead of banishing, though, you shuffle it back into the deck, right? So pretty good. Gazaris, pretty good at, shuffling cards back into the deck. Now, another thing is, with Keeper of Dragon Magic, what you could do is you can summon it, discard a Bestiari, to summon up the Bestiari, or actually to grab up a Neos Fusion or your Fusion Tag, depending on which one you don't have, right? Summon up the Bestiari, Bestiari is now in face down defense position. You then use your fusion tag on your Keeper of Dragon Magic to target the Geyseris in your in your extra deck, changing the Keeper of Dragon Magic to Gladiator Beast Geyseris, making it now a Gladiator Beast, which allows you to actually summon up your Geyseris by shuffling the two back into the deck, right? You will return your Keeper and your Bestiari into the deck to grab up your Geyseris to pop 2. Pretty useful. That's why we're running the fusion tag, right? Then you could also follow up with a Neos Fusion, since you cannot special summon since you can't special summon after this card goes off. You can't special summon anymore, but you can still special summon prior to that. So just keep that in mind. You want to use your Neos Fusion at the end. Then we're just running a whole bunch of back row just to kind of protect us, keep us safe, because we do want to summon up our cards, and then we kind of sometimes often want to wait a turn or have to wait a turn, right? For example, say we start with a Keeper of Dragon Magic in our hand and a Neos or a Neos Fusion or something like that instead of the Bestiari, right? Now we can't go into our fusion tag to pop 2 cards in the field, so instead what we're going to have to do is we are going to have to Neos Fusion to send the Bestiari to the graveyard, so that next turn we can summon it up with our Keeper of Dragon Magic. Hence why we have a lot of back row, right? So that's the deck. Pretty simple, pretty standard. Let's hop into some duels. Actually, it's not pretty standard. I mean, we're using fusion tag. But let's hop into some duels to see how this works. Alright guys, here we are up against a Yami Yugi. We get to go first. Now, starting this duel, we don't open up with the best of hands. We do a Neos Fusion, pretty simple. We open up double Bestiari and 2 back row. The 2 back rows pretty okay, but the Bestiari is not the greatest. He Cosmic Cyclones our Neos base, which is rather interesting. We grab into our second Gladiator Beast, that in order to summon up our Geyseris. Geyseris is trying to pop the back row. He activates the Magician Navigation to summon up double Dark Magician and then a Magician of Dark Illusion as well from the hand. So now he has a full board, but guess what? We have a Wall of Disruption. However, he does have the Magician Navigation in the grave. So keep this in mind. First, we're going to Fiendish Chain. We're going to Fiendish Chain the Magician of Dark Illusion. Now, if the Fiendish Chain goes through, then he still doesn't have lethal, which is pretty good. However, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bait the Magician Navigation so that our Wall of Disruption goes off to absolutely disrupt him and kill him off, basically, right? So, here's what's going to happen. He's going to activate Magician Navigation to disrupt the Fiendish Chain, and we are going to chain to that a Wall of Disruption. He swings in, deals 23 damage to himself. We grab up another Wall of Disruption. He activates his Treacherous Trap Hole, popping the Bestiari and the Gladiator Beast Geyseris. He tries to activate his Magician of Dark Illusion. Doesn't go through. He Destiny draws, which is rather interesting. I'm guessing he drew into this card, Eye of Timaeus. Eye of Timaeus activates. Dark Cavalry comes through. He summons up by tributing. He summons up his Silent Magician by tributing a card. Then swings in for 1800 after the Wall of Disruption. We happen to grab into a Keeper of Dragon Magic, so we're going to activate to grab up the Bestiari, and then just swing in for 1800. So there you go. Wall of Disruption is insanely good, and no one is respecting it right now. So, if you want some free points, if you want that free rank up, run Wall of Disruption. Anyway, let's hop into the next duel. Alright, welcome back. So here we are up against Ishizu Ishtar, and we do happen to go second this time. We have the fusion tag within our hand already, and we've got the combo along with a Fiendish Chain. Now, we are going up against a Dark Magician deck with seemingly everything, right? So we're going to summon up Keeper of Dragon Magic to discard our Bestiari. Then he is going to chain to that activation his Illusion Magic, right? We're going to add the Neos Fusion. we're going to activate Keeper of Dragon Magic to summon up the Bestiari. He's going to Magician Navigation, summon up both of his Dark Magicians, resummon up the Bestiari. He's going to Dark Magic Circle to send the Bestiari to banish it. We're going to Neos Fusion, grab up our Neos, swing into the Magician of Dark Illusion. Why the Magician of Dark Illusion rather than Dark Magician? Because both of them are Dark Magician, but this one has the effect to actually grab up more Dark Magicians. So that's why you swing into that one always. Well, not always, but most of the time. We're going to set the Fusion Tag as a bait, and then we have a Wall of Disruption and a Fiendish Chain. We're going to Fiendish Chain. They're going to negate using their Magician Navigation. Again, using Fiendish Chain as a bait for the Magician Navigation. However, we did also want to prevent the search of Magician's Rod. They're going to seal the tombs and swing in. We're going to hit Wall of Disruption. They deal 900 damage to themselves. We're going to Neos Fusion again, because we did happen to draw into that. So, we're going to Neos Fusion. They're going to Magician Navigation. We knew that was coming. They're going to activate Magician's Rod along with Dark Magical Circle. Dark Magical Circle is going to banish our card, and then he has the Magician's Rod within his hand. Grabs up a Dark Magical Circle. Pretty interesting. Then he swings in with the Dark Magician into our Keeper. He Cosmic Cyclones the Neo Space and then tributes off the Magician's Rod, which is pretty interesting to me. We're going to swing in for 1800 and then return the Liquari to grab up Bestiari into the fence position. Bestiari is then going to pop the back or the Dark Magical Circle. He has another one. He grabs up his third Dark Magical Circle, then swings in with the Magician's Rod. Now, the Magician's Rod did not have anything to search for, which means that he doesn't have his, or he has his third Magician Navigation in his hand. And then we just swing in, and he has nothing. He has nothing. So we just win. There you go. A lot of people are very scared of the Bestiari and of, you getting out the Geyseris. Even though Geyseris is only a 2400 beater, it does pop 2 cards, which is pretty good. And you'll see in the next duel how important that can be. So, let's hop into the next duel real quick. Alright guys, welcome back. So we are up against Yami Yugi once again here. And we see that he is not running a specific skill, which means that he's not running Spell Specialist, meaning it is Element Sabers. So he summons up. We actually just drew basically a bunch of back row and a Fusion Tag, and then we drew into an Elemental Hero Neos, which wasn't very good. But we do have a lot of back row. So we're not going to activate any of the back row at the moment. We're just going to kind of see what happens. He Mole Hughes to get the Malo into the grave. He goes for the Cocytus. Well, guess what? We're going to flip that face down using our Floodgate Trap Hole. Floodgate Trap Hole is now preventing this from actually having its effect go through, which is pretty good. Keep that in mind. He grabs back the Invoker. We grab up a Bestiari. We're going to set that. We're also going to set the Fusion Tag as a bait. Then we're going to activate our Fiendish Chain to negate the Alistair. He's actually going to flip it down so that Alistair actually goes through. Sadly, he did have another Element Saber within his hand, which means we basically don't get to do anything. He changes to fire in order to summon up the Purgatrio, using the Invocation. Invocation is going to activate to grab up the Invoker, or Alistair the Invoker. So now he swings in to a Wall of Disruption. He boosts up once, twice, boosting it to 2700. And then he has nothing. So 500 attack along with the 0 attack of the Molehu, and then he decides not to swing into the Lucaria. So we're going to actually draw into a Keeper of Dragon Magic. We're going to send the Neos to the grave to summon up the Bestiari, as well as grabbing the Neos Fusion. Then we are going to grab up Geyseris. We are going to target these 2 cards, right? This card will be popped if we do not get negated, which we do. So Forbidden Chalice negates the effect, but that's not a big deal. Why? Because we can still Neos Fusion through it. Neos Fusion comes through, 3200, swing in, swing in, swing in, wipe the field, he has to have a really good top deck in order to do anything. If he opened up into an Alistair, he could have won. He didn't. Therefore, we win. That's how that worked. There you go. Everyone is going to negate your Bestiary or your Geyseris, sorry. But it still doesn't matter sometimes just because Neos Fusion is that good. And I think, honestly, if it were unbanned, it would see a lot more play and it would actually be a pretty competitive deck. However, at the moment, it's still pretty strong and it's still a great engine. Let's hop into the deck and talk a little bit more about it. So, first and foremost, this deck is kind of expensive, right? You have to buy the Keeper of Dragon Magic structure deck or the Magician of Chaos structure deck. You got to get the Neos Fusion structure deck and the new Gladiator Beast structure deck, right? Granted, it's all structure decks, which means you can get some of them through just gems, right? Plus, you get the other one. I mean, at least you're getting exactly what you want and not like, a bunch of random cards that you may not actually end up using. So keep that in mind. It's still pretty good. Anyway, this deck overall is pretty good, but it's not quite there, right? This isn't the definitive way to play Gladiator Beasts, right? As you notice, we're basically running 7 Gladiator Beasts in the entire deck. The rest of it's basically like back row and Neos Fusion. So it's not exactly Gladiator Beasts. However, it's still pretty fun to play, not gonna lie. I did have a lot of fun playing it on stream as well, against a couple of other decks. And just like in King of Games, or in Legend, it's still pretty fun. However, you do run a lot of back row, and I'm sure that you're wondering, well, what if I don't have Floodgate Trap Hole, or Paleozoic Canadia, or Fiendish Chain, or anything like that? Well, any of the back row cards you so chose, right? You could run Sphere Karibo, right? If you wanted to, you could run, Wall of Disruption, Drowning Mirror Force, and like anything, right? Any sort of back row that you choose, right? Raigeki Break could work. I don't know what else. The Paleozoic Hallucigenia, Mirror Wall, Divine Wrath. There are a myriad of things that could work. So, just any back row, go for it. But yeah, overall, this it's really fun to play, and it's really fun to win with. But it's not exactly the best. It's got some potential. But at the moment, it's not great. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to see more content like this, just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.